Hey folks, welcome back to another video. I've just walked into this beautiful spot here in North Wales, which isn't far from the road, and it's given me the opportunity, whilst it's not raining, to finally film this tent review I've been promising for ages. The big Agnes Copper Spur UL2, mouthful. Very nice tent, should be. Retails at £550. That's a buttload of money, isn't it? I'll talk about the prices in due course. The other one, the sort of competitor at completely the other end of the market, the Naturehike Mongar 2, I bought that for £140. How do they compare? Is it worth spending a load on a tent like the big Agnes? Are we better off just, taking a bit cheaper? It's not the cheapest tent around, but for a mountain tent, pretty flipping cheap, isn't it? What do you reckon? Well, I've pitched them up. I'll kind of set the camera up. I'll talk about the Naturehike first, then move on to the big Agnes, and we'll see how we get on and try not to be interrupted by this massive helicopter, a Merlin, that's flying around. The Naturehike Mongar 2. Like I said, £140. Shop around though, and you might find it a bit cheaper. And I had a quick Google, closer to 100 in some places. I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. It weighs in at 1.9 kilos. It comes with a footprint, but I didn't include the footprint when I weighed it because it was upstairs and I wasn't going to bother bringing it. That's going to add a little bit to it though, of course. What do I want from a tent first and foremost? Because this is applicable to both of them. I use a tent mostly these days on mountain leader courses. So I run mountain leader training and assessment courses here in the UK. And that's a qualification course for those that want to take groups out, walking in the mountains, a little bit of scrambling as well. And on a training week, they spend a night in a tent. They'll walk to a spot out in the mountains and do some night nav and whatever, but put the tent up, sleep in the tent overnight and then walk out the next day. On assessment, it's similar, but you'll do 2 nights in the assessment week. So you'll put your tent up out there somewhere, do a bit of night nav, go back to your tent, and then the next morning wake up, pack up and go to another spot and camp for a second night. So I'm not really doing any more than a couple of nights in a tent these days. If I was camping out the back of a car or something, I'd just use a different tent than these two, honestly. Usually something much cheaper and much bigger, actually. Well, not a lot cheaper than this one, because this is a bargain, isn't it? But a lot bigger, or I just sleep in my van, honestly. But that's in the UK, where I will be out in all sorts of weather. I'm not going to be out in proper gale force winds, because in the context of ML that would be a bad decision really, but 30-40 miles an hour winds overnight, that's not to be unexpected. It rains a lot, so I need them to keep me just out of the weather in general, so bad weather without necessarily being full-on extreme weather. That would be a different kind of tent, wouldn't it? And I've kind of ended up preferring 2-person tents. I went through a phase of being as light as possible really in terms of my kit, and I was using something like a Nordisk Telemark 2, which is about 880 grams, but really small, just about me and the boy, sort of big enough for me and the boy, but I couldn't really sit up properly in them. It's hard to get changed out your wet kit into your dry kit without getting everything wet and all that kind of thing, and it's just not that pleasant an experience. So when the weather's good, they're a great tent, flipping brilliant tent actually, and I love the 880 gram nature of it, but just most of the time the weather isn't like that. That said, one of the reasons it's taken me a while to do this video is the first couple of times for both of these tents that I took them out on those courses, the weather was really good. It wasn't much of a test, so I've had to wait a bit longer to actually get them both out in bad weather, which I have now done. So I can give them a fair chat basically, all right? For me, I do want that tent to be under 2 kilos for sure. So this is only just ticking that box. I'd rather it was closer to 1.5-ish, but that's the way it goes. I think you might be able to buy a lighter version of this, which has lighter material. Do some Googling and you'll find out though. £140 is super cheap for a tent that I'm going to think might be okay for taking in the mountains, because we're in quite serious places really. Our mountains here in the UK aren't massive, but they can still be flipping remote if something's gone wrong. 2-person tent, it's easy to put up. It's like one pole all linked together basically, so you just snap it into place and all that kind of thing. The tent is symmetrical end to end, so it doesn't matter which way round you have the pole, it's going to go in. It slots into these little holes, pull the tags, tighten it up. It's really easy to get a good pitch with it. I often find, you know, some tents, especially the cheap ones, are a bit fiddly to get them like tight and therefore not flappy. I can't stand a flappy tent when I'm out and trying to sleep. I just struggle to sleep when it's like that. But 6 minutes, I think it took, there or thereabouts, when I filmed it. No complaints about like how it actually pitches in terms of once it's finished. I have got some complaints about the kind of the minor details of putting it up. I'll show some bits, but like when you're connecting the outer to the poles, it's got this like nylon cordy thing that you tie up, and when you've got cold wet fingers and stuff, it's just such an unpleasant thing to do. The actual clips are put in the inner onto the poles, yeah, really nice actually. I'm just looking for little prompts, that's why I'm looking around. How the poles go into those bits, great. How the buckles do it, great. Unsurprisingly, they're not amazing quality. They're never going to be for that kind of price, are they? They're just not. They when we talk about the big Agnes in a minute, the quality is the biggest differential, okay? But is it effective? Well, yes, when it's been out in that weather, it's kept me dry. I've had no leaks whatsoever. Has it stood up to that like 30, 40 mile of wind that I've been out in? Yeah, absolutely no drama at all. For sure it has. The inner, we'll talk about in a minute, is mostly mesh. So it can be drafty, but then the flip side is that's good for the condensation, isn't it? So I haven't had any condensation issues at all. Yeah, I'm going to switch to the GoPro and have a quick chat about a few bits. But yeah, there's loads of good points about this tent. There has to be some negatives, and like I say, it is the quality of it. As you can see, loads of space. Just got my sleeping bag in, haven't put other stuff in because there wasn't much point, but you can see easily enough room for another sleeping bag for your two-person tent that it is, or in my case, the dog, just about there. Porch on either side, so you can get in and out either side. Brilliant, like that feature, and you can kind of undo either half of the door and fold them back. The folding them back isn't a pleasant experience, particularly because it's those just really shiny toggles, and it's just a bit hard to do sometimes. You've got these yellow tags that I haven't done up, but they push open this little vent, so you'll get a bit less condensation again. Pocket there with some writing on it that tells you not to set fire to your tent and all that kind of thing. Another pocket there. They're a bit naff because they're on the floor, you know, but that's the way it goes really. You're not going to get perfection with this tent. A hook for hanging your head torch off, and a gear loft thing for, I don't know, head torch when you're not using it, socks, anything else. So whilst the pockets are a bit naff, I do really like that feature. That's great. Anything else I like or dislike? I like the door because it's just a regular door, zzz, all the way around. That sounds silly to like that feature, but I'll explain why when we get to the big Agnes. I can sit up in it. I'll just sit quickly so you can see. My head is sort of just about, I'm sort of sat up fairly straight here. My head just about touching the gear loft, but I can sit up. I'm probably getting a slightly better spot and make it a bit nicer. Nice place to be, it's nice and light. It's just the quality really. That's the thing that lets it down. But I feel like the quality, yes, it's a downside, but it's more like longevity rather than thinking it's going to snap at any moment. I think the user experience of everything, the zips, the toggles, the buckles, they're all just at a price point. They're not that nice, but how can you expect it to be? Now, one criticism will be where it's made, and I'll switch back to the proper camera for that one. I should have mentioned, before I talk about where it's made, just the fact that it is an inner first tent when you're pitching it. Is that a good or a bad thing? Well, here in the UK, it's not necessarily ideal. If you think it's going inner first, what's the weather often doing here? Well, it's often raining, isn't it? So all your stuff is going to get wet. Then you put the outer on and you weatherproof it. And yeah, you can normally find a little weather window to get that up in a dry conditions, but not always. And I have had to, I think it was this tent, I remember this or the big Agnes I had to put up in the wet, and yeah, things get really wet very quickly. So that is a consideration, but there is a but. If you use the footprint, you can actually put it up outer first. So that could be a reason for using the footprint. The main reason is normally to keep things more waterproof and make your ground sheet last longer, but I'm just trying to save weight normally, which is why I don't tend to take them. But that could be a really good reason to take the ground sheet, the footprint rather, so you can put it up outer first and potentially keep yourself a bit drier. But where's it made? Well, it's made in China. Loads of things are made in China. I've got no issue with things made in China at all, but I can't not mention it because when I put a post up sort of saying I'm going to do a review of this, there were a number of people saying things like, oh, it's made in China, that's bad, or, you know, it's sold through a Chinese company and stuff like that, so they're not going to pay taxes in your country, so that's bad. The sort of ethics of all these things, and do they pay a fair wage and all these kind of things. It was hard to find some of these answers. You can Google and do your own kind of research on it, but I kind of feel it would be remiss not to mention it. It's all very well having these viewpoints. When I first started doing outdoor stuff, and I was like, you know, in my teens, I couldn't afford to have like nice Patagonia stuff and, you know, which tick those kind of ethics kind of boxes, whichever other brand you choose. So if you've only got £140, you've only got £140, you can't buy that nice expensive tent made here with a fair wage and all that kind of stuff, unless you buy secondhand. And that is an option. You know, shopping around on eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever, you might find a bargain. I used to do that loads. If I was just starting out now and I saw a tent this good for £140, would I have bought this or a second-hand tent? I don't know is the answer, but this tent punches so far above its weight. Honestly, £140 does not do this tent justice, but that comes at a cost of perhaps that side of things, perhaps the quality of it. But still only 1.9. Often these cheap things weigh a lot. So I'm really impressed with this tent, like genuinely. If I had to use this tent for a year doing the work that I do, I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't be thinking, oh, I wish I had this better tent to take out. I'd be quite okay with that. That said, that big Agnes staring at me over there, which retails at £550, would I pick that up over this one? Well, let's go and have a look at it. Answering that question straight away, would I pick this one over that one? If they were both on my shelf, I'd pick this one every time. It is a better tent. It retails at £550. Of course it's a better tent. There'd be something completely crazy about it if that wasn't the case. Outside, who support the channel, have kindly loaned this to me. That one, the Naturehike, I bought with my own money. This one's loaned to me. It's just loaned, so I do have to send it back afterwards. Outside are great though, because they don't mind me saying, you know, what I think. I'm not like obliged to give some glowing review just because they've lent it to me. If you're spending £550 on a tent though, it's probably going to be a fairly glowing review, isn't it? But it's not perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect tent, and this is no exception, right? Outside, sell it for £495. So it's a little bit, you know, just under £500. The quality of the materials, just everything is better. The tent material, the nylon stuff is better. The clips are better. The cords are better. The way you roll these things up and hook them on are better. There's one extra feature about that I'll explain in a minute. Almost everything is better about it in terms of the tactile nature, how it will last longer. The pole is like a DAC featherlight thing, which you'll see in tons of other tents as well. The user experience is just a lot nicer, right? Size-wise, pretty similar. How it goes up, pretty similar. It isn't symmetrical end to end, but it's really clear that that end is like silver on the poles and silver on the sort of slots it goes into, red at that side, so hard to get it wrong. Slightly different design. The one over there is like 2 legs, a middle bar with a spreader. This one is like sort of 4 legs all going to a sort, it's not central, but it's almost a central point with a spreader again. So very similar, but slightly different. The result is much the same. I think you get like a slightly higher sided tent with this one. So it's a bit more upright, so you get kind of more room inside. Perhaps it's a bit more susceptible to the wind, but in reality, I haven't found that a noticeable difference. They both got tons of guy lines that I haven't you know, put out today, but they can be both beefed up a bit compared to how I've put them. But yeah, everything is nicer with it. It's an American company. Oh great, we're buying a Western company's product, therefore it's going to be fair wages and stuff like that. Still made in China, I believe, right? It's a little bit vague actually. I think the stuff is sewn in China. There's like a Korean link there as well. But it's not like it's made in Colorado where the brand is based. So when it comes to the ethics and stuff like that, like I say, you've got to make your own decision. I'm sure there's some difference in company structure, but there's some thought there, okay? I'm just putting that one there because I think, like I said on the other bit, it would be remiss not to. This has been a really nice tent to use. Of course it has been. The price point it's at, of course it's going to be. It's like reviewing a Ferrari or something and saying that was a bit rubbish. Not going to happen, is it? 1.4 kilos, 1.42 to be precise. You spent all that money on the tent, which is still an inner first tent, okay, so you can still get wet when you're doing it. You spent all that money though, you don't even get a footprint for that. You have to buy the footprint as extra, £80. £80. Man, some things I find it hard to get my head around. It's like a rectangle shape of material with like a metal bit at either end. I'll explain why in a second, or two metal bits at either end, for £80. Honestly, that just does, it annoys me to really. The reason, the same as that one, if you use the footprint, yes, you get the extra protection, but you can also put it up outer first if you use the footprint. I do have the footprint for this with it. I just would really struggle to justify that, just out of principle, really spending that much more on it, but it is what it is. Everything's nicer, even the little bag it all stuffs into is nicer because it's got these little clips and you cinch them tight and it packs it down nicely. It's got its own inner pocket for the pegs and the little pole repair thing and the extra guy lines, which that comes with as well. The difference being, like, just this kind of sums it up really. The bag, I ripped the bag for the Naturehike one the first time I used it. Not using it in my dining room, so I wasn't even like, you know, getting blown around by the wind or anything, so that's not a problem. It just maybe summarizes the difference. Going to film the inside on the GoPro again when it wakes up. Yeah, let's press there. So I've moved the, hang on, it's not doing it yet. There we go. I've moved the sleeping bag into there to give you an idea of space. It's actually a little narrower, not a lot, but a little bit narrower. You can still see there's plenty of space for a second sleeping mat and sleeping bag and or dog in my case. Things that are better. Well, massive pockets, look at the size of these, they're ginormous and they're off the floor, so I like that. One at either end and little ones down there as well, actually at that side as well. So I really like that, that's nice. Hasn't got a gear loft. Funnily enough, I expect you can buy one. It's got the tags for it. Goodness knows how much that would actually be. You could obviously put some string up for free. I have done that in another tent, so you've just got something to like hang your head torch off and wet socks that you pretend will dry, but actually they won't. So again, you've got to pay extra for that. Clips are nice that you put the poles onto. It's still, this annoys me as well, where is it? In there, it's not like the nylon cordy stuff like this thing that you tie around it. It's these little Velcro tabs. They're a bit nicer and they feel like quality, but still with cold fingers, wet fingers, that kind of thing, it's still a pain in the butt to use. I don't like them. Just give me some clips and it would weigh like 20 grams more or something, but I'd be happier. This I do like. Watch this. None of those silly toggles. You just put it in there and that keeps the door tidy and out of the way. Not as tidy as rolling it, but as a quick thing, I like that a lot. One thing I did notice when using this one, I'll just sit in it a minute so you can see the headroom. Feels like a bit more headroom in this one than the Naturehike. In terms of widths and lengths and things, just Google it, honestly, because otherwise I just have to say a load of numbers, and I'd rather tell you about this sort of how I found it to use rather than getting sort of turbo geeky about it. One thing I have found when it's been windy, it doesn't like shake around any more than I'd expect. It does seem creaky. There's something about the material. You can just see how the pole works there actually in the four directions. Something about the material that where it moves on the pole slightly just seems to creak a lot, make that kind of rubbing noise. I just wanted to show you on the door as well. It's a nice zip. Zips along there like a zip does. You get the other zip. Yeah, oh look, that's a nice experience, but oh man, this really annoys me. It does come undone there as the dog's trying to get in. Hello, boy. It does seem to come undone there a bit, and I have had a few bugs coming in, and we don't have really poisonous bugs and spiders and things here in the UK, but obviously you might not be using it in the UK. But I still don't want them in here. Just give me a normal zip that goes like on the Naturehike. I don't understand things like that. I just find it a bit annoying. When you're spending so much on a tent, I do want perfection at this price, or you know, for its intended use at least. It's got this little thing, like the Naturehike has one at either end, this one only has the one, because like I said, it's not symmetrical in here. That side is a little slopier than this side, so you probably would want your head at this end, particularly on this one, but still loads of room at either end. It's still a nice place to be in, nice and light. Porch to that side, porch to that side, Pretty similar to the Naturehike, more than enough to have your rucksack, your boots, and cooking in the porch should you be wanting to do that. One thing you can do with this one that I'm not going to do, but this door, you can open it either side again, like on the other one. But this one, you can put it up with 2 trekking poles, and that gives you like a porch with a roof kind of thing. I'm never going to do it personally, but you might, so it's worth pointing out. Yeah, nice place to be. It's a nice tent. The quality is most definitely higher. So let's get back to the proper camera for a bit of a summing up, and hopefully we'll get it done before it starts raining. Come on out the way, boy. No, out. So what have we got? We've got 2 very similar tents actually, haven't we? Both in a first, and let's use the footprint, provided, not provided. Don't start me ranting again. We've got a similar amount of space inside, head height-wise, length-wise, width-wise. Probably width-wise beats it over there a little bit. Really similar to put up in terms of ease and stuff like that. Both really easy to get like a nice tight sort of outer, so it's not flapping around too much. It's the quality that's the main difference, isn't it? So price, yeah, £400 difference, come back to that in a second, but it's just the quality. I don't feel like that one's going to implode at any second, but it's clearly, I think at least, not going to last as long as this one, assuming you'd look after them equally and all that kind of thing. But in terms of use, what would I be happier with? This one all day long. Like, if I had both these tents on the shelf and, right, it's time to go camping tomorrow, I'd pick this one all day long. Of course I would. It's lighter, it's better built. It's just a nicer place to be. It will last longer as well, but is it £400, more or less, better than the Naturehike? No, absolutely not, right? It's not £400 better. It just isn't. So this is why you're going to buy one or the other. I feel like if you've got £500 or whatever to buy a tent, this should absolutely be on your list for if it's the same kind of usage as I'm talking about. Absolutely, it should be on your list. But you've only got £140. You've only got £140, haven't you? This is another level, so you just can't afford it. Even second-hand, it's going to be more than that, isn't it? So it does come down to that, really. If you've bought a Naturehike for that money, and you're thinking, oh, should I have saved up for another couple of years and missed out on adventures and things because of not having a tent, you've made the right choice by buying that. Honestly, you can have so many good adventures in that. In the mountains and things, not just like campsite camping. That is a decent tent. But yeah, of course, this is a better tent. It just is, isn't it? If you've got questions, chuck them in the comments below. More than happy to answer. If it's what's the width and stuff, just Google it. It's easier than me rabbiting on about it, isn't it? But if you've got questions about use, chuck them in the comments below. I've used both of these tents, like not loads of times each, 5 times each, something like that. Not got wet in either, not got loads of condensation in either. Well, actually, I think I haven't had any condensation either. I've not had one collapse or be anywhere near collapsing. I've probably used them both in winds up to 40-ish and, some proper rain as well, like proper Welsh rain. They've both performed really very well. I do like this one though. It was a loaner, and I've got to put my money where my mouth is now and decide which tent I want to buy, because I already own that one. Would I buy a better, more expensive tent with Gucci, features and tactility and stuff like that? Yeah, I probably would, because I do a lot of stuff in the mountains, and it's not just work, it's play stuff as well. So yeah, I would spend more on a tent. But honestly, I keep looking over that Naturehike, and that is one of those bits of kit that is like punching far above its proverbial weight. A bit like this Simon jacket that I'm wearing here, 60, 70 quid instead of like £300 for the equivalent Patagonia Nano Air. It's that kind of thing. Good tent, very good tent, great price, spendy price. That's the way it goes. Yeah, chuck those questions in the comments below. And also, if you've used them, let me know how you've gotten on with it. Yeah, I'd honestly be interested to hear your experiences as well. Click the like button, smash the subscribe button for us on Insta, Facebook, use a buy me a coffee link to support the channel. All the support massively appreciated. Time to get back home before the rain comes though. So as always, massive thanks for watching. More videos coming up very soon.